Lauren changed slowly at first. It started with small comments, small sighs when I talked about work. She used to admire my focus. Now she called it obsession. She used to love quiet nights in. Now she wanted constant excitement. Every conversation became a debate about balance and independence. Brooke, her new mentor, kept saying that comfort kills passion. Lauren repeated it like gospel, as if it were an undeniable truth. She said couples should challenge each other, not settle into routines. I tried to listen, tried to understand where it came from. But every word felt rehearsed, like a speech she practiced in the mirror. She started questioning our engagement, saying we moved too fast. 4 years together apparently wasn't enough to know each other. She accused me of being too predictable, too logical, too grounded. She said she needed emotional adventure, whatever that meant. I took her on spontaneous trips, surprised her with small gifts. Nothing worked. Her eyes always looked distant, searching for something that wasn't there. She started staying out late after her meetings. Came home smelling like perfume that wasn't hers. I didn't accuse her, I just watched. The woman I loved was slipping away, piece by piece. Every time I tried to talk, she turned it into an argument. She said I was afraid of her growth. She said I wanted to cage her potential. I told her I just wanted partnership, not control. She laughed and said that's what all men say. It hurt more than I could admit. The distance grew. We still shared a bed, but it felt like two strangers sleeping side by side. She scrolled her phone late at night, smiling at messages she never explained. I stopped asking. Asking only made me the villain in her new story. She once told me, "You've become too comfortable with me." I asked, "Isn't that what love is supposed to be?" She didn't answer. Just looked at me like I'd failed some unspoken test. Every day felt like waiting for something to break. Even the small moments became fragile. Coffee in the morning, dinner at night, filled with silence and tension. Brooke's influence grew stronger. Lauren quoted her constantly, like she was some prophet of truth. I tried to remind her of us, the things we'd built together. She said maybe that's the problem. Maybe we'd built a cage without realizing it. Her words felt rehearsed, sharp, borrowed. I realized I wasn't arguing with Lauren anymore. I was arguing with Brooke's voice coming through her. Still, I didn't give up. I thought it was a phase, something she'd outgrow. I kept showing up, doing the right things, hoping love would win. But love doesn't survive when one person stops believing in it. One night, she looked at me and said, "Do you ever wonder if we settled?" I said no, because I chose her every day. She smiled sadly, like that answer wasn't good enough. That was when I knew. The woman I fell in love with was gone. And what stood in front of me was someone I no longer recognized. It happened on a Friday evening. I came home from work, exhausted but calm. Lauren was in the bedroom, a suitcase open on the bed. Clothes scattered everywhere like she was escaping a fire. I asked softly, "What's going on?" She didn't look up. "Girls' trip, Miami, Brooke planned it." Her tone was sharp, almost defensive. I frowned. This is the first I'm hearing of it. She rolled her eyes. "I told you last week." No, she hadn't. I remember every detail in my life. There was never any mention of Miami. I stood in the doorway, pizza box still in my hands. Something felt wrong, deeply wrong. She zipped the suitcase hard, avoiding my gaze. "You're acting weird," I said. She snapped, "You're being controlling." I laughed bitterly. "Asking where you're going is controlling." "It's the energy behind it," she shot back. The words sounded like Brooke, not hers. I took a breath, trying to stay calm. "Lauren, we live together. You can tell me when you're leaving." She crossed her arms. This is exactly what Brooke warned me about. There it was again. Brooke's ghost haunting our conversations. I leaned against the wall. "Warned you about what? Communication." She sighed dramatically. You don't get it, Ethan. I need space. I need to explore who I am. My chest tightened. You're 29, Lauren. You've lived on your own, had your freedom. It's not about that, she insisted. It's about growth. Brooke says relationships should evolve. And if they do, I asked quietly. She hesitated, then looked me dead in the eyes. Then maybe they should end, or open up. I froze. The words hung heavy between us. Open up, I repeated. Yes, she said quickly. Just for a few months, to see if we're truly right for each other. I stared at her speechless. She looked nervous but proud, like she'd practiced this speech. So you want to sleep with other people? I asked. It's not about sex, she said too fast. It's about honesty and choice. I put the pizza box down slowly. You mean you want a backup plan while keeping me around? Her expression hardened. You're twisting it. This could make us stronger. Stronger, I scoffed. By breaking what's already fragile. She grabbed her suitcase handle. Maybe we need a break then. I nodded slowly. So this is an ultimatum. Open relationship or we're done. Her lips curved into a small, confident smile. I'm giving you time to think. I smiled back. Okay. The word hit her like a slap. Okay, that's all. Yes, I said. You're right. Maybe we're not compatible after all. She stared at me, shocked. You're not going to fight for us. Fight for what? I asked. You just asked for permission to betray me. Her face twisted with confusion and anger. Brooke says fear keeps people trapped, she said weakly. Then congratulations, I said quietly. You're free. She walked out the door without another word. And that was the moment I decided I was done fighting for someone who'd already left me in her mind. The moment the door closed, everything went silent. I stood there for a while, just staring at the empty hallway. Then I sat down, ate a cold slice of pizza, and started planning. If she wanted freedom, I would give her all the freedom she could handle. I called my friend Matt, a contract lawyer I trusted completely. He answered on the first ring. Trouble? He asked. Yeah, I said. I need to check something in my lease. He laughed softly. This sounds serious. It is, I said. Very. Within an hour, he called back. Good news, he said. Your name's the only one on the lease. She's not a tenant. That was the turning point. No arguments, no negotiation, just clarity. I opened my laptop and drafted the notice to end the lease. 60-day clause, 1 month penalty, worth every dollar. Then I logged into the bank app. We had a joint account she'd convinced me to open. I transferred everything into my personal savings. Left exactly 43 cents behind. Petty, maybe. But symbolic. A reminder that she'd taken enough. Next, I went through the apartment. I photographed everything that was mine. Electronics, furniture, documents. Years of IT work taught me to document everything. Evidence mattered. By midnight, I had a folder labeled Freedom Plan. It contained screenshots, receipts, and backup copies of every message. I slept for 3 hours, then woke up calm. Saturday morning, I loaded my car with essentials. Clothes, laptop, guitars, family photos, important papers. I left her things untouched. This wasn't revenge. It was a clean exit. I drove to my parents' house, just outside the city. My mom opened the door and saw my face. She did something, didn't she? Yeah, I said. She wants an open relationship. My mom's expression turned cold. Then you opened the door and let her out. I smiled for the first time that day. Dad helped unload the truck, silent but proud. When we finished, he handed me a beer. You're doing the right thing, son. I know, I said quietly. After lunch, I drove to the jewelry store where I bought her ring. Mr. Chen, the owner, looked up from the counter. Ah, Mr. Carter, wedding plans coming along. Not anymore, I said. I'm here to return this. He frowned, then checked the receipt. You're lucky, you bought insurance. You get 60% cash refund. Perfect, I said. $7,000 later, I walked out lighter. Not just financially, emotionally. On the drive home, I felt something shift. No anger, no heartbreak, just release. That night, I sat in the empty apartment, surrounded by boxes. I drafted a letter to the landlord, printed it, and signed it. Then I wrote a short note for Lauren. You wanted space, I'm giving it to you. I placed it on the kitchen counter, beside the ring box. The next step was simple: disappear quietly. No yelling, no tears, just a clean cut. By the time she landed in Miami, I was already gone. Sunday night, the clock read 10:47 p.m. Lauren's flight had just landed. I was miles away at my parents' house, already in bed. But I imagined her face when she opened the door. The apartment would be silent, hollow, stripped of me. The closet empty, drawers bare, shelves half gone. Only her things remained, perfectly untouched. On the kitchen counter sat the ring box and my letter. Beside it, the lease termination notice and a bank printout. A simple note written in blue ink. You wanted freedom, now you have it. Lease ends November 30th, don't call me. I could picture her reading it, heart racing, disbelief sinking in. Her phone lighting up with my name unanswered. At 11:07 p.m., the first call came through. Then another, and another. I watched them appear and vanish on my screen. 52 missed calls by midnight. Dozens of messages flooded in. Ethan, what the hell is this? Where are you? This isn't funny. I didn't respond. Not a single word. This was the silence she earned. The next morning, she went to the bank. I know because she left me a voicemail full of rage. You emptied everything. Are you serious? Her voice cracked halfway through. You left me with nothing. She wasn't wrong. But she forgot I was never obligated to carry her anymore. By 9 a.m., movers arrived at the apartment. They packed the rest of my furniture, my dishes, my TV. The lead mover, a big guy named Tom, looked around and whistled. Man, whoever stays here next won't have much left. Not my problem anymore, I said, tipping him generously. By noon, my old life was gone. The apartment was just an echo of what it used to be. Lauren came home around that time, crying on the phone to Brooke. The doorman later told me she looked like she'd seen a ghost. She called again that night, voice shaking with desperation. You can't just walk away from 4 years. I didn't answer. Instead, I returned the engagement ring to the jeweler Monday morning. Mr. Chen smiled sadly as he handed me the refund. I hope you find peace, Mr. Carter. I already did, I said. When I checked my phone again, the notifications were endless. Voicemails, texts, emails, all full of pleading. I made a mistake. I was confused. Brooke was wrong. I love you. Each message was just noise. I deleted them one by one without listening. It wasn't cruelty, it was closure. That afternoon, I walked through my new apartment for the first time. Small, quiet mine. I sat on the floor with a cheap beer and absolute calm. Lauren had asked for space. I gave her a galaxy. And for the first time in months, I felt free. Days turned into weeks. Lauren's calls stopped, but her chaos didn't. Friends started reaching out, asking what happened. Apparently, she told everyone I'd abandoned her without warning. Said I was controlling, manipulative, even financially abusive. It almost made me laugh. I had every receipt, every screenshot, every message she ever sent. So I started forwarding the truth to the people who asked. No emotion, no anger, just facts. Within days, her story started to crumble. People realized she'd twisted everything. She told them I'd trapped her. But the lease showed only my name. She claimed I'd ruined her financially. But my bank statements told a different story. The truth spread faster than she could cover it. Brooke's influence began to fade. Some of their mutual friends turned against her. Others stayed silent, uncomfortable with the lies. I didn't celebrate. I just let it unfold. One night, my friend Matt texted me. Heard through the grapevine she's losing it. Brooke dropped her. I said nothing, just stared at the message. Maybe it was karma, maybe it was clarity. But I didn't feel joy, just distance. Lauren sent one last email that week. Long paragraphs full of guilt and self-pity. She said she couldn't afford rent alone. Said her parents were disappointed. Said she only wanted to find herself. Then blamed me again for giving up too easily. I didn't reply. I forwarded it to Matt and deleted it. He replied with one sentence. She's rewriting history. Don't engage. He was right. She wasn't looking for forgiveness. She was looking for control again. Meanwhile, I started rebuilding. Got a new apartment near my office. Bought new furniture, simple but mine. Every day felt lighter, quieter, cleaner. I reconnected with old friends, people she'd distanced me from. They were surprised to see me smiling again. One weekend, Matt's girlfriend introduced me to someone. Her name was Rachel. Civil engineer, funny, grounded, the kind of calm I hadn't felt in years. We met for drinks, no expectations. The conversation flowed easily, without tension or pretense. At the end of the night, she said, "I'm not looking for anything serious." I laughed and said, "Good, me neither." We agreed to keep things simple. No games, no power plays, no ultimatums. It was refreshing, like breathing fresh air after a storm. A few days later, Lauren must have found out. She sent another message, bitter and broken. "You moved on already. After everything we had." I didn't respond, because there was nothing left to say. She had wanted freedom. Now she was drowning in it. And I was finally standing on solid ground again. The tables had turned, but I didn't need revenge. I'd already won by walking away. That was the difference between us. She wanted control. I just wanted peace. And peace was exactly what I had. Weeks passed, and the noise faded. Lauren was just a memory, a name that no longer carried weight. My days became quiet again, filled with work, gym, and laughter. Rachel and I started seeing each other more often. It was easy, effortless, like breathing after being underwater too long. She didn't ask about the past, and I didn't offer. We talked about small things, about food, music, travel, and dreams. There were no fights, no guilt, no manipulation hiding behind sweet words. It felt new and honest, something I hadn't felt in years. Then one night, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I ignored it, but a voicemail came through seconds later. Her voice hit me instantly, shaky, slurred, and broken. "Ethan, I miss you. I messed up so bad." I sat still, staring at the dark screen, listening to her ramble. She cried about Brooke, about mistakes, about losing everything. She said she thought I'd wait, that I'd fight for her. But she finally realized I was never coming back. Her sobs turned into silence before the line cut off. Another voicemail came right after. She said she couldn't breathe without me. She said she didn't know who she was anymore. She said she was sorry for everything. For the lies, the pride, the ultimatum. I listened to every word until the end. Then, I deleted both messages, without hesitation. Not out of cruelty, but out of peace. Her pain wasn't mine to carry anymore. She had chosen her path, and I had chosen mine. For the first time, I didn't feel anger or pity or sadness. Just understanding. Sometimes people destroy everything good because they're scared of it. Lauren was one of those people. And I had finally stopped trying to save her. That same night, Rachel came over. She brought Thai food and a bottle of wine. We sat on the couch, laughing at a movie we barely watched. She noticed the look on my face. "You okay?" she asked softly. "Yeah," I said, "just closing old doors." She smiled and said, "Then leave them closed." We clinked glasses, and I felt something warm return to me. After she left, I opened my phone one last time, found Lauren's contact, and stared at it. My thumb hovered for a second. Then I hit delete. Not blocked, not hidden, erased. Gone completely, like she never existed in my world. The silence afterward felt like sunlight. I lay in bed, eyes closed, smiling to myself. 7 weeks since everything fell apart, and I was free. No guilt, no questions, no more waiting for someone who'd never come back. Lauren got her freedom. I got my peace. And between the two, I think I made the better trade. It was Thanksgiving, when I finally felt whole again. The air was cold, the house filled with laughter and warmth. My parents cooked too much food, like they always did. My brother's kids ran around the living room, screaming with joy. For the first time in years, I felt present, not haunted. No more wondering what she was doing, or who she was with. Lauren was just a chapter I had finished reading. A story that once mattered, but no longer defined me. My phone buzzed once that day, an unknown number again. I didn't check it. Didn't need to. Because I already knew how that story ended. I looked around the table and smiled. Freedom didn't feel like emptiness anymore. It felt like peace, quiet, and clarity. I had lost someone who didn't know my worth. And in doing so, I found it myself. When I left that night, I looked at the sky. It was clear, wide, endless, just like my new beginning. Some endings aren't sad. They're just the first breath of a life you should have been living all along.